Have you ever felt invisible in a room full of people? You stand there, you smile, but nobody really sees you. Today, that changes. This lesson is simple English made for English learners who want more than just words. Sit back, get comfortable, and let the ideas sink in. By the end of this lesson, you will know exactly how to make anyone feel valued in any conversation. You will understand why this one simple skill builds more loyalty than money ever could, more trust than power ever could, more love than gifts ever could. It is not about being rich. It is not about being beautiful. It is about something much simpler and much harder. People remember how you made them feel. Read that again. People forget what you said. They forget what you wore. They forget the deal you closed or the joke you told. But they never forget how you made them feel in that moment. Small or important, invisible or seen. Most of us were never taught this. We grew up learning math history, maybe a little science. Nobody sat us down and said, "Here is how you make a stranger trust you in 60 seconds. Here is how you turn a cold room warm. Here is how you become the person everyone remembers for the right reasons." Today, you are going to learn 6 simple habits. They are not tricks. They are not manipulation. They are something older than that, something almost forgotten in a world full of phones and noise. These habits come from real people, real moments, real change. A young man who lost every sale until he learned one thing. A woman who felt invisible at a party until a stranger remembered her name. A manager who lost his team until he stopped giving orders and started asking questions. You will meet all of them today. But first, let me ask you something. Think about the last time someone truly listened to you. Not just nodded, not just waited for their turn to speak. Really listened. How did that feel? Now think about the last time you did that for someone else. If you are struggling to remember, you are not alone. Most people are so busy being interesting that they forget to be interested. That is about to change. Stay until the end, because by the final lesson, you will understand the one quiet idea that ties everything together. An idea so simple a child could understand it, yet so powerful that it built friendships, careers, and even peace between enemies. We will get there. But every great change starts with one small step. Maybe you already feel a little tired of being overlooked. Maybe you have walked out of a party, a meeting, a family dinner, wondering why nobody really saw you in the room. If any of that sounds familiar, you are exactly the right person for this lesson. The habits you are about to learn were not invented by experts in a laboratory. They were noticed by ordinary people over and over in living rooms, offices, and small conversations that quietly changed everything. So let us take that step now. Lesson 1. Be a good listener. Most people wait to talk. Strong people wait to listen. Think about that for a second. In almost every conversation, we are secretly waiting. Waiting for our turn. Waiting to say the clever thing we just thought of. Waiting to talk about our own day, our own problem, our own opinion. We call it a conversation, but really it is 2 people taking turns talking about themselves. There was once a young salesman who could not sell anything. He walked into office after office with the same pitch, the same smile, the same list of features. Door after door closed in his face. He started to believe he was simply bad at this job. Bad at people. Bad at life, maybe. One evening, exhausted and ready to quit, he sat across from one more client. He was so tired that for the first time he stopped pitching. He just asked a question. What is the hardest part of your work right now? Then he did something he had never done before. He stayed quiet. He listened. The client talked for almost 20 minutes about pressure from his boss, about a deal that fell apart last month, about a problem nobody at his company seemed to understand. The young man said almost nothing. He just listened, nodded, asked one more small question here and there. At the end, the client looked at him and said something strange. He said, "You understand my business better than anyone who has ever walked through this door." Then he signed the contract. That salesman did not change his product that day. He did not change his price. He changed one thing only. He stopped talking about himself and started caring about someone else. This is the first habit, and it might be the hardest because it asks you to do less, not more. Ask a real question. Then close your mouth. Let the silence sit there. Most people rush to fill silence with their own words. But silence is where the other person finally feels safe enough to speak. Here is the simple truth. People do not fall in love with people who talk well. They fall in love in friendship, in business, in family, with people who listen well. A good listener makes you feel like the only person in the room. And once someone feels that they remember you forever. So today, in your next conversation, try this. Ask one question more than you normally would. Then wait. Just wait. Watch what happens to the other person's face when they realize you are actually listening. The best conversation you ever had was probably the one where someone really listened. Today, you can be that someone for someone else. Lesson 2. Remember their name. A name is a small word. It carries a big feeling. Say someone's name back to them in a conversation and watch what happens. Their face softens. Their shoulders relax. Something in them opens up just a little. You did not give them anything. You did not pay them a compliment. You simply said their own name, and it landed like a gift. More than 100 years ago, an American president became famous for this one habit. Wherever he traveled, he remembered names, not just the names of important men in suits. He remembered the names of train porters, of cooks, of children he had met only once. People who worked around him for years swore he never forgot a single face, a single name, a single small detail about their life. Why did this matter so much? Because to almost everyone else, these workers were invisible. They were background noise in other people's busy lives. But to this one man, they were not background. They were people. And he proved it with one word, their own name spoken with warmth. Think about a party you once attended. Maybe you stood in a corner holding a drink, feeling a little lost. Then a stranger walked up, shook your hand, and said your name back to you a few minutes later, like it actually mattered. Suddenly you were not invisible anymore. You remembered that stranger for years, not because of what they said, because of how they made you feel in that one small moment. Most of us forget names within seconds. We hear them, and our mind is already somewhere else thinking about what we will say next. That is the second habit. Slow down. When someone tells you their name, say it silently to yourself. Use it once in the conversation soon after you hear it. Use it again when you say goodbye. It feels small. It feels almost too simple to matter. But people remember how you made them feel. And almost nothing makes a person feel seen faster than hearing their own name used with care instead of forgotten the moment it is spoken. And the difference here changes everything. Forgetting a name tells someone you are replaceable to me. Using their name again and again tells them you are someone I noticed, someone I kept. A name is the sound a person has heard more than any other word in their life. Speak it well, and they will remember you long after they forget almost everyone else they met that day. Lesson 3. The smile that means something. A smile costs nothing. It buys everything. Think about the last stranger who smiled at you. Really smiled, not the quick, polite kind, but the kind that reached their eyes. Did it not change your whole mood for a second? A smile travels faster than words. It crosses a room before a single sentence does. It tells another person before you have said anything at all that you are safe to talk to. Here is something worth understanding about people. We are always reading each other even when we do not realize it. Before someone hears your words, they read your face. If your face is closed, tense, distracted, your words will not matter much. But if your face is open and warm, people relax around you before you even speak. There is a simple idea behind this, something you could call the echo principle. Whatever expression you give to the world tends to give it back to you. Smile at someone, and most people, without even deciding to, will smile back. Frown at someone, and they will likely frown too, or simply walk away. We are mirrors for each other more than we like to admit. But here is what most people miss. A fake smile does not work the same way. People can feel the difference between a smile that comes from politeness and a smile that comes from genuine warmth, even if they cannot explain how they know. It says, "I am performing for you," instead of, "I am glad you are here." A real smile says, "I am glad you exist," and most people can sense that warmth before a single word is spoken. So how do you make a smile feel real, even on a hard day? You find one small true thing. The person in front of you is alive, is trying, is carrying something you cannot see. That alone is worth a real smile. You do not need a reason to be happy. You need a reason to care, and caring shows up on your face before it shows up anywhere else. If this idea feels true to you so far, type yes in the comments right now. It helps me know you are still here, and it helps more people find this lesson. Now let us keep going, because the next habit might be the one that changes your relationships the most. A fake smile fades the moment the camera turns away. A real smile stays in someone's memory for years. Choose which one you want to be remembered for. Notice the people whose faces light up when they see you. You probably do the same thing back without even noticing. That tiny exchange, two faces softening toward each other for half a second, is one of the oldest forms of trust we have. Long before language, before handshakes, before words like friendship even existed, a smile was already doing this work between strangers, telling each one, "You are not a threat to me. And I am glad you are here." So practice it on purpose. Not a performance for a camera, not a polite mask you put on for customers and take off at home. A real one aimed at the cashier who looks tired, the neighbor you barely know, the stranger holding the door. You will be surprised how often it comes back to you multiplied. Lesson 4. Make them feel important. But here is what most people miss. Everyone you meet is fighting some quiet battle you cannot see. A new manager once got promoted fast. He was smart, hardworking, full of ideas. On his first week, he called his small team together and told them exactly how things would work now. New schedule, new rules, new targets. He explained it all clearly, confidently, like a man who knew best. Within a month, his team was quiet in meetings. people stopped offering ideas. 2 people asked to be moved to a different department. The manager could not understand it. He had given them clear direction. He had told them exactly what to do. Why were they pulling away from him? One evening, an older co-worker, someone who had been there for years, said something simple to him. He said, "You tell people what to do, but you never ask them what they think. They feel like tools, not people." That sentence changed something in him. The next week, instead of giving orders, he asked questions. What do you think we should try? What is not working for you right now? Where do you feel stuck? At first, the team was quiet, almost suspicious. Then, slowly, they started talking. Ideas came out. Problems he never knew existed came into the open. People who had gone silent for a month suddenly had opinions again. He had not changed the schedule. He had not changed the targets. He had changed one single thing. He started making people feel important instead of making them feel used. This works the same way with your co-worker, your partner, your friend, your own child. Everyone wants to feel like their thoughts matter, like their presence changes the room somehow. You need not agree with everyone, and you need not praise things that are not true. But you can ask a real question. You can say, "What do you think?" And then actually wait for the answer. That single pause, the silence where you let them finish, often means more than any compliment you could give. People remember how you made them feel. Not how smart you sounded, not how right you were, how important you made them feel in a small room on an ordinary day when nobody else was paying attention. Make the other person feel important, and do it sincerely, not because you want something from them, but because it happens to be true. Every person you meet knows something you do not. Every person carries a story worth hearing. Treat them that way, and they will remember you for the rest of their life. Lesson 5. Talk about their interests. We all do this. We all talk about ourselves first. This has nothing to do with being selfish. It is simply how the human mind works. Your own life, your own problems, your own day, they are the loudest thing inside your head. So naturally, when you open your mouth, your own world comes out first. The trouble is, the other person's mind works exactly the same way. While you are talking about your day, they are quietly waiting to talk about theirs. There is an old story about one of America's early statesmen, a clever and curious man who had a political rival. This rival disliked him strongly, criticized him often, and refused every attempt at friendship. Most people would have simply avoided a man like that. Instead, the statesman heard that his rival owned a rare and valuable book, one he had been wanting to read for years. So he wrote a polite letter and asked if he could borrow it for a few days. The rival was surprised, but agreed. When the book was returned with a warm note of thanks, something shifted between them. The next time they met, the rival actually spoke to him almost like a friend. Over time, that small request about a book interest grew into a real respectful relationship between 2 men who had once been enemies. Notice what happened there. The statesman did not try to win an argument. He did not try to prove his rival wrong or defend himself or explain his own side of things. He found something his rival cared about and started there. Here is the lesson hiding inside that small moment. Winning an argument and winning a person are 2 very different things. You can prove someone wrong and still lose them completely. Or you can ask about the thing they love, the project. They are proud of the hobby that lights up their voice, and somehow, without ever trying to win, you win their trust instead. Think about your own life. Who do you enjoy talking to the most? Probably not the person who talks endlessly about themselves. Probably the person who asks about your work, your kids, your weekend, your dream, and actually seems to care about the answer. There is no need to be the most interesting person in the room. You simply need to become interested in what already interests them. Ask about their world. Let your own world wait its turn. People will not remember that you were brilliant. They will remember that you cared enough to ask. Notice how natural this feels once you try it. Ask someone about the project they have been pouring their evenings into, and watch their voice change. Ask about the trip they are planning, the hobby they picked up last winter, the small business they started in their garage, and something in their posture shifts. They lean forward. Their words come faster. You have not given them advice. You have not solved their problem. You have simply made room for them to talk about what they love, and that room is rarer than most people realize. This habit costs you almost nothing, and yet most of us forget to use it because our own interests feel so much closer, so much louder. The next time you sit across from someone, try a small experiment. Hold back your own story for just 2 extra minutes. Ask one more question about theirs. Notice what happens to the warmth in the room. Lesson 6. Become genuinely interested now. We arrive at the one habit that ties every other habit together. The one quiet idea sitting underneath, listening names, smiling, making people feel important, and asking about their world. It sits underneath everything else. Everything else is just a branch growing out of it. The habit is this: become genuinely interested in other people. Not interested in what they can give you. Not interested in how they can help your career, your business, your image. Genuinely interested in them, simply because they are a human being standing in front of you, with their own fears, their own dreams, their own private struggles that you will never fully see. Remember the echo principle from earlier. Whatever you give to people tends to come back to you. If you walk into every room calculating what you can get, people feel that calculation even if they cannot name it. They feel used and they pull away. But if you walk into a room with real curiosity about the people inside it, they feel that too, and something in them opens up almost without trying. This is why a dog is loved by almost everyone who meets it. A dog does not pretend to like you to sell you something. A dog is not interested in your job title or your bank account. A dog is simply completely glad you exist, and somehow every single person can feel that instantly. We do not need to become dogs, but we can learn from that one pure thing they offer freely attention without an agenda. Think back to the salesman who finally listened. The stranger who remembered a name at a party. The manager who started asking instead of ordering. The statesman who cared enough to ask about a book his rival loved. Every single one of them succeeded the moment they stopped performing and started genuinely caring. And in the end, people remember how you made them feel far longer than they remember anything you said. This is the quiet secret behind almost every great friendship, every trusted leader, every person you have ever loved being around. They were never the loudest one in the room. They were simply the one who cared the most and let you feel it. You have probably met someone like this. A teacher, a grandparent, an old friend who somehow made you feel like the most important person alive just by the way they looked at you when you talked. They did not need a title. They did not need wealth. They had mastered the one habit that holds up every other habit in this lesson: genuine interest, in another human life. So let us bring it all together. 6 simple habits. None of them require money. None of them require talent you do not already have. Listen more than you speak, and let people finish their own thoughts. Remember a name and say it like it matters because it does. Smile and mean it because a real smile opens doors that words cannot. Make the other person feel important sincerely, not as a trick, but as the truth. Talk about their interests before your own, and let them feel heard. And underneath all of it, become genuinely interested in the people around you, not for what they can give you, but simply because they are human, just like you. 6 habits. 1 simple truth, holding them all together. People remember how you made them feel long after they forget everything else about the day you met. You can forget someone's job title, their car, their house, their accomplishments. But you rarely forget the person who made you feel small, and you almost never forget the person who made you feel seen. Today, you get to choose which one you will be for everyone you meet this week. Keep practicing this, English learners, and people will remember you forever, not just for your words, but for how you made them feel. So here is a question for you. Of these 6 habits, which one is hardest for you right now? Is it listening without waiting for your turn? Is it remembering names? Is it staying genuinely curious about someone else's life? Tell me in the comments below. I read every single one, and I would love to know which habit you are starting with today and which one you already do well. If this lesson gave you something worth keeping, share it with someone who needs to hear it and come back for the next one. Until then, be the person people remember, not because you were the loudest, but because you cared the most. See you in the next lesson.